As the Senate impeachment trial quickly approaches, we're hearing a little more from Trump's legal team regarding what his defense will be. And what's fascinating is that his lawyers aren't focusing so much on the impeachment charge against him, which alleges that Trump incited the insurrectionists who then stormed the Capitol on January 6th. Most of the focus of their filing, which is about 14 pages long, was about the procedural issues, right? The fact that Donald Trump is no longer a sitting president, and since he's no longer a sitting president, it doesn't make sense to impeach him. Trump's lawyers argued that since Trump is no longer president, an impeachment trial ought to be dismissed out of hand because the Constitution, quote, requires that a person actually hold office to be impeached. But that's not actually true. Now, House Democrats filed their own legal filing, and what they argue is that it's unthinkable that the framers of the Constitution left us virtually defenseless against a president's treachery in his final days, allowing him to misuse power, violate his oath, and incite insurrection against Congress and our electoral institutions simply because he is a lame duck. They also argue that there's no January exception to impeachment or any other provision of the Constitution. A president must answer comprehensively for his conduct in office from his first day in office through his last. And there have been legal experts who have weighed in on this, and they've argued that there's absolutely nothing in the Constitution that indicates that Trump gets a, get out of jail free card simply because he's no longer in office. What he did took place while he was still in office, and so he should face the consequences for that. And before I hear your point of view on this, Cenk, I do want to toss to a video featuring one of Trump's lawyers who furthers the ridiculous argument that I just outlined for you. Let's take a look at that.
Does this country really need to see videotapes? We know now, apparently, that Mr. Swalwell and the other managers tend to show videotapes of the riots and people calling in, people being hurt, police officers talking. Why does the country need that now? We would stipulate that there was a riot that went on that day. It was a tragedy. President Trump has condemned violence at all times. Read the words of his speech, calls for peacefulness. This has nothing to do with President Trump, and the country doesn't need to just watch videos of riots and unrest. We need to heal now.
Oh, do we need to heal now? Oh, do you not want to see videos of what Trump provoked in the Capitol? You don't want to see that? Is it incriminating? Does it hurt your feelings? Now, unfortunately, 45 Republican lawmakers have already come out to argue that the impeachment trial is unconstitutional, which gives you a sense of where they plan to, stand on this issue. And unfortunately, you need at least 17 Republicans to vote with Democrats in order to convict Trump. But Trump's lawyers, Bruce Castor Jr. and David Schoen, said in their filing that Trump telling rally goers, if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore, moments before the riots took place, by the way, had nothing to do with the action at the Capitol, as it was clearly about the need to fight for election security in general. That is a weak argument. But look, Cenk, my point is, it doesn't even matter. Trump can show up, he can testify on his behalf, he can scratch his ass while he's there testifying, and it doesn't matter. 45 Republicans have already preemptively said that they're gonna support and empower the kind of behavior we saw from Trump during the Trump White House.
Actually, there is one scenario where that wouldn't happen. So let me explain. So first of all, to Anna's point about this still being relevant, one of the things that could happen if you get convicted in the Senate is you can get permanently banned from politics. So that would mean that Trump could never run for office again. So is that relevant to a president who might have committed impeachable offenses on his way out the door? Of course it's relevant. How could it not be relevant? So to say that there's nothing relevant to discuss in the impeachment is absurd, and everybody knows it. So the only way that Trump wouldn't win, given that 45 Republicans already voted with him on the theoretical constitutional issue, which we just explained is not remotely true, is if he angers some of those Republican senators by saying things that aren't true. And it turns out that's the thing that Trump is planning to do. So, of course. So 5 lawyers from Trump's team just resigned 2 days ago. Why did they resign? One was a difference in strategy. Trump wanted to talk about, almost exclusively, about how he had actually won the election. Now, wait a minute. Not only is that not remotely true, not only is that not an effective legal strategy in this case, but you're gonna piss off people like Mitch McConnell, who are now furious that his life was in danger. He doesn't give a damn about anybody else, but you mess with him. So the only way you can get people like Mitch McConnell to rally Republicans to ban you permanently from politics is if you go in there and go, you had it coming. You guys are all wrong. I won anyway. And I'll show you. If you do that, that's your only chance of losing. So his previous lawyers were like, no. Don't go in there and say that. Mr. Trump, 45 Republicans just told you that they're gonna vote to acquit you if we just use only the constitutional argument. So why don't we just go in and win on minute 1? We don't have to do anything. We just go, hey, Republicans, do like we told you to do, okay? You don't have to do anything. He's like, no. I want to prove that I actually won the election. I want to be a witness. And they're like, no. You see, everybody that deals with Trump goes in thinking, oh, come on, he's not really insane. I'll convince him. I'm so smart, I'll talk him into it. It's not a big deal. And then they go in and go, oh my God, he's actually insane. We told you he was nuts. By the way, the second reason he's having a riff with his lawyers, the money, Lebowski, as always. Trump raised $170 million, not for his campaign, after his campaign for his legal defense, $170 million from you schmucks out there who are MAGA. The lawyers are asking for the last round was $1 million. He's like, no, I don't want to pay it. No, I want to keep the $170 million because I don't have any money, and I put an asterisk in all those emails saying I could keep it. So I don't even want to pay $1 million, even though I raised the money for this specific purpose.
Well, Cenk, Deutsche Bank is coming to collect. Deutsche Bank is coming to collect. The IRS is coming to collect. Homeboy's broke. So that $170 million can't be used for his legal defense. I mean, or his defense in this impeachment trial. And look, I actually disagree with you. I think that if Trump's lawyers decide to show up to the Senate trial and make the exact arguments that Trump is hoping that they make, right? That, again, repeating the nonsensical, ridiculous claims of widespread voter fraud. Even if there's any type of provocation to Republican lawmakers directly, I guarantee you that they will not impeach Donald Trump. I guarantee you. I mean, this scenario would never happen, but my prediction would be if one of his lawyers made the argument that, hey, Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham, it's your fault. If they said it's your fault that this happened and Trump did nothing wrong, they still would not vote to impeach Donald Trump. That's my guess, because they're not afraid of Donald Trump. They're afraid of Donald Trump's voters, because the QAnon guys, Trump's base, that is not some fringe part of the Republican Party. That is the Republican Party. That consists of the majority of Republican voters, the majority of whom had Trump at an incredibly high approval rating among Republican voters as he was leaving the White House. That's not gonna change. They're afraid of those people. And so they will not vote to impeach Donald Trump, which is why this whole thing is frustrating. And maybe Trump realizes it, and that's why he doesn't wanna spend $1 million on his lawyers, because he doesn't need to.
Yeah, well, Anna, that's a great point, of course. And this civil war within the Republican Party is basically Trump versus McConnell. And that might be the only fight that McConnell ever loses. Because yes, the majority of the Republican Party voters are generally nuts, and so they like Trump. They think that all the things that he's done is hunky dory. They don't have any issues with it, and they would definitely be furious at Republicans who voted against him. They're furious at the Republicans who voted against him in the House already. Already, the usual set of death threats and all that stuff. But it's not, again, not just fringe. It's a majority of the Republican voters. So the Republicans, in a sense, are right to be scared. But I want to say one last thing about the lawyers. So the old lawyers, which lasted about 10 days, all resigned. Almost all lawyers who aren't nuts resigned because Trump thinks you hire lawyers not to follow the law, but to break the law. He's like, if I followed the law, I wouldn't need you in the first place. I need you to help me break the law. And then lawyers go, no, I resign, right? Except Rudy and Kraken and Spider and all the nut jobs, right? So the new lawyers, you know who they represented? One of them represented Roger Stone. And well, he got off, didn't he? No, he got convicted. Trump pardoned him after his lawyer bungled it. And well, to be fair, Roger Stone was totally guilty, so it was a hard case. But the other guy he represented, Jeffrey Epstein. So all the QAnon guys, the child molesters, child molester, and then they're like, the guy who's the worst child molester in American history. Trump wishes his co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell well several times. He's like, I wish her well. I hope she's doing great, that child molester, and then hires Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer. And QAnon's like, Trump's the good guy. Well, you guys, you've broken every record for stupidity that there is.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.